Having a little bit of financial security does in the long run take a lot of burden away, especially from young couples. For my wife and I, the coolest thing is where you used to like live in a trailer and you used to cut coupons. Now you can buy that pepperoni supreme, where before you would never even thought about that because that's an extra 44 cents. Now you can go, I'm buying the pepperoni supreme and I don't even have a coupon. Ring me up.
I'm in the McFarlane business. I'm in the Todd McFarlane business. I started with Todd when he did nothing but comic books, working over his garage. And now we have several businesses. He's directed videos and won Emmys and won a Grammy, and we've made major motion picture, and we've had animation on HBO. I mean, we've done a lot of things, and while still doing the comic books.
Yeah, a lot of people, they tell me, Al, where does Todd come up with his ideas and how does he do what he does? And most people say you are either artistic-minded or you're business-minded. Todd has been able to draw and straddle that line and do very well on both ends of it.
I always sort of compare Todd to Walt Disney. Walt Disney had an aesthetic. He was in charge of the aesthetic. He was the best pitch man, that everybody says that ever was in Hollywood. And he knew exactly what he wanted, and that he was able to get, hundreds, and in the case of Disney, thousands of people to stick to that aesthetic. I think Todd's very much like that.
It gets a little difficult for some of the people that work for us. There's two Todds working in my company. There's Todd, the neurotic artist. He's pretty good. And then there's Todd, the CEO, who has a fiduciary responsibility, and he's pretty good. But I like this guy a little bit better. I like the neurotic.
This is the story of Todd McFarlane, a self-made millionaire many times over who originally made his name drawing Spider-Man only to leave Marvel Comics and start his own company. The fact that he's been able to parlay his success in comic books into the toy business, the music video business, and the movie business is a testament not only to his talent, but to his business skills, specifically in the area of financial management.
He's not a real risk taker from a financial standpoint, on the products and so forth. Yeah, we'll be on the cutting edge, but as far as the financing of things, he's pretty careful with that.
Now that might sound like a contradiction of sorts. After all, Todd once spent $3 million to buy Mark McGwire's 70th home run record baseball.
But there's not only that one, also he got Sosa's 66 from that year, which was a record. Then Barry Bonds came along, he hit 73 home runs. So we went out and purchased that ball too.
Todd made that investment in the McGwire home run ball and opened a lot of doors for us and really enabled us to become very strong in the baseball marketplace as far as the product we produce.
Considering they've made about $20 million from that original $3 million investment, that's quite an understatement.
Even though he's quite famous for his forays into famous baseballs and other things, he runs a pretty tight ship as far as our cash management and so forth in the companies. When Todd's anticipating doing something like that, he's pretty well thought about it in advance and looked at the availability of resources.
And that is the point exactly of this video. They say it takes money to make money. Well, it was only because Todd had been careful with his personal and professional finances that he was able to afford to act on that opportunity when he saw it. He's a classic right brain, left brain personality, which begs the eternal question,
does this make sense? Is Todd the artist at the beginning self-indulging because he just thinks it would be cool? Or is there art to be had, but we can also actually earn our money back?
One advantage that Todd has is that the McFarlane companies are privately held. This gives him a leg up over competitors because he can adjust strategy on the fly and as he sees fit.
Because I think most toy companies are publicly held companies, and at the end of the day, they have to worry about the consumer, but they also have to worry about the teacher's retirement fund in Rhode Island, and we don't. Our business is to stay in business, and our business is to do what Todd is comfortable with. So if Todd feels like we ought to sink a lot of money into research and development this year and only make a little bit of money, then he tells us. And if the goal becomes, this year I want you guys to make a lot of money, then we figure that out too. But we're never in the kind of situation where every year we have to get an 8%, growth in profits. And if you can't figure out how to do that, you got to start cutting back on the product. Product is king at our company. When you see one of those sports toys and you see that silhouette, our sports toys are generally so accurate that if you know that player and you see him backlit, you know who that is. Todd's bond with the customer, with our fan, is so strong to keep the quality high and to keep the price reasonable and give them the best possible value within those two parameters.
Todd's strong financial skills don't just allow him the freedom to focus on quality, they've also made his company strong enough to weather tough times. In addition, he has the resources to keep his product pipeline full for all of his retailers.
I'll give you an example of what happened a few years back. Some of the stores started seeing the collectibles or niche product, if you will, and I was in there and I was doing gangbusters there. And then they sort of started buying these other wannabe companies' product. And what ended up happening was that A, they didn't have a stronger license, B, they couldn't deliver on the product in time, they didn't have an infrastructure to make, ship, deliver, and do it in a very professional manner to these people. And so at some point, some of the stores just went, screw it, get rid of collectibles. Now, in that instance, they threw the baby out with the bathwater, and that was me. And I now have to go back to them going, look, I'm not telling you, Walmart, whoever, I'm not telling you that you have to have collectible stuff. You guys have to do whatever is right for your business. I'm just saying, if you are going to have collectible niche product, then if I am not the king of that 3 feet, if I'm not 80% of it, if not 100% of it, I don't think you guys are doing your homework. Because I'm the only guy out of any of those ones you're going to talk to that's going to deliver you 22 lines in a year, and it's going to have those shelves stocked 365 days. I'm one-stop shopping. And so now they go, no, I don't know if we're going to have it. Okay, we'll give you a little bit of space, and we'll just give it a Todd. And in some cases, I am 100% of that business. And it's like, so I'm the 800-pound gorilla of the niche business in some places. Cool.
Because Todd's company is not public, they don't necessarily focus on maintaining specific financial ratios. However, Todd's fairly debt-adverse in his general business approach. At the same time, there are certain projects, due to their scope, which may require outside financing, and this can take many different forms.
As a company enters into a situation of more and more risk, their options end up going from banks to savings and loans to finance companies to even venture capitalists or someone that's willing to take a higher risk, but at the same time is extracting a lot higher interest or investment return. As a general rule, I think Todd has recognized he's shied away from other investors that might want to exercise control over his artistic freedom and the direction that he would like to take his companies in.
If you're going to go out and have broader aspirations, just try and find partners, quote unquote, that you don't think you're going to be aggravated with at the end of the process. If they're going to be funding it, then yes, absolutely, they have a lot of say, if not final say, over everything, because they're spending the money.
Just the same, it's important to delineate areas of responsibility between the two parties, especially in the entertainment industry, where too much input can interfere with the creative process.
They're not artists. And so again, in a lot of movies, not too often does the executive look over the shoulder of Steven Spielberg and go, Steven, you might want to do a bird's eye view on this shot instead of a worm's eye view. It might be a little more drama or tension. No, you go, I know what I do, which is business and marketing and raising money, and the artists do the art, and we put it together, and we have to sort of make this dance and sell it to the consumer. So I've had total freedom, obviously on the ones that I spend all my money, and then I've actually had pretty good freedom given that I'm actually spending somebody else's money.
As Todd looks to the future, he'd be the first to admit that his business goals have very few boundaries in terms of scope or even industry. Regardless, it's a safe bet that he'll continue to employ the same careful financial management practices that have served him so well in the past.
As we've gotten a little more sophisticated, I now realize that I've got companies that actually can survive for 5 years. But I would still say that the number one thing for me is still just looking at the landscape of opportunity in any field. I mean, if I have to someday not saying I would, if I have to convert all of my sculptors, my R&D department, into a special effects house for all the movies I make someday, and that makes way more sense to me, and that's sort of prudent in terms of business, I'll do it. And these guys, you know, we've warned them, got to be flexible.
5 years from now, we could be completely in some other medium. They'll still probably be a toy company, just like there's still comics, but that Todd's a visionary. I love being around him, and wherever he goes, I'll go with him as long as he'll have me.